Probably the most common question that I get from my clients or potential clients, some form of this question. How much is my personal injury case worth? And you may have even seen some clickbaity internet ads that claim to have a calculator for your car accident or trucking accident case. Well, that's simply not true. But at the end of this video, I hope to give you the tools that you need in order to determine the value of your injury case, or at least know what questions you need to get asked in order to have the answer to that question. My name is Peter Hess. I'm a car accident and trucking accident injury attorney. We have offices in Washington and Oregon. My office, Hess Law Office. And there are 6 key factors to consider when trying to determine the value of an injury case. The first 3 are legal factors, and the second 3 are practical factors. So the first 3 factors, which are legal, are liability, causation, and damages. And the next 3 factors are practical factors: insurance coverage, client compliance, and timing. I want to go over each of these 6 factors briefly with you. And if you have more questions, you can always call me at 509-525-4744 or email me at mail@hesslawoffice.com. Factor number 1, liability. So in your car accident, the question of liability is the question of who's at fault. And, a classic rear end auto collision, usually it's super clear. Liability is 100% on the other driver. But take, for example, a red light, green light, he said, she said situation. Liability is somewhat complicated. And when liability is complicated and you don't know ultimately at the end of the case what the liability determination is going to be, it affects the value of your claim. Second factor, causation. So causation in an injury case, we have to prove that your injuries were caused by the collision. And let's say you're a perfectly healthy young person, never had an injury in your life, and then all of a sudden you're at a car wreck and you have a bulged disc or a herniated disc in your neck. Well, in that situation, causation is pretty clear. However, if you have a series of pre-existing injuries and a degenerative spine, then causation may be unclear. We call those pre-existing conditions or subsequent conditions, meaning you had another incident soon after the collision for which you're bringing a claim. So again, first factor, liability; second factor, causation; third legal factor, damages. Damages comes back down to how much the injury has affected your life. There are 2 types of damages under the law. First are categorized as economic damages. And these damages are the money that the wreck has caused you. So the most common one, of course, is medical bills. Because the wreck happened, you incurred medical bills, the wreck cost you money, and so the at-fault driver has an obligation to pay you back for the money that you've lost. In other words, reimburse you for those medical bills. The second most common one is lost wages. There are other factors, other economic factors, for example, mileage to medical appointments and money paid for household help, things like that. So that's category 1 of damages. And if your medical bills are super high, say you had a surgery clearly related to the collision, then of course that drives your damages value up. The second category of damages are called non-economic damages, or pain and suffering damages. These are things like pain, suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, permanent impairment, disfigurement, things that you cannot get a pay stub or a receipt for, but under the law, because we don't do an eye for an eye anymore, the law says that we need to compensate you. The at-fault driver, in other words, the at-fault driver needs to make up for your pain and suffering with money. Not a perfect system, but it's the best system out there. So someone who has had a lot of pain and suffering, of course, is going to have a higher value on that type of non-economic damage. So that rounds out the legal factors: liability, causation, and damages. Now, the three non-legal factors. Number one, coverage, the amount of insurance coverage. Number two, client compliance. And number three, timing. So let's go over those three really quickly. First, coverage. You may have been in a catastrophic wreck, but if there's no coverage and the driver that hit you does not have significant assets, then your case is only worth the amount of coverage that there is in the case. So I've seen this happen, unfortunately, where either there's no coverage involved or there's, minimal $25,000 policy involved and someone is absolutely catastrophically injured. So insurance coverage, you may not know how much coverage is involved, and usually people don't, and it will involve some level of investigation. Second non-legal factor, client compliance. Clients who follow the advice of experienced injury attorneys tend to have higher claim values. For example, those clients will consistently attend and document their injuries with regular medical appointments, and they will ask questions and seek objective evidence of their injuries. So another client compliance factor: are you on social media bouncing on a trampoline 3 days after the collision? Not advisable. Another client factor, maybe beyond your control, maybe your past. Do you have 6 felonies involving dishonesty? Those are factors that the insurance companies are going to find out, and it will affect claim values. But now, the third and final factor, the third non-legal factor, is timing. So, particularly on larger cases, the insurance companies don't want to let go of their money quickly and easily. They want to see what kind of fortitude that you have and stick to the claim value. They often drive claims into litigation, which takes time. You actually need to have a trial date before there's pressure on the insurance company. So if you have a large case with large coverage and you are in a huge hurry, then that will hurt claim value. If you want to settle it quick and dirty, it's going to be pennies on the dollar. If you're willing to stick with an attorney who knows how to litigate cases and take your case to the mat and push the case towards trial, then all of a sudden settlement numbers start looking real when trial is imminent. So timing is another factor. So those are the 6 components. Again, liability, causation, damages, the 3 legal factors. Coverage, client compliance, and timing are the non-legal factors. I can go through each one of these in some more detail in further videos, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what to look for in your case, and maybe you'll know what your case value is just by listening to this. However, often people need some investigation to figure this out, and that's why having an experienced injury attorney to ask the right questions to get to the bottom of each of these factors is really important. So if you ever have questions at all, feel free to hit me up anytime. Again, phone number is 509-525-4744. My email is mail, M-A-I-L, at Hess Law Office. And I am Peter Hess. I'm a car accident, trucking accident injury attorney at Hess Law Office. Hope this is helpful. Everybody have a wonderful day. Feel free to leave me comments below or contact me. Have a great day.